not, but at any point. But anyway, here we are going live on YouTube. And Zulma Gonzalez, so glad to have you here. This mic is all yours. Please unmute yourself.
We're cracking up. That's why I was still muted. Hi, good morning, everyone. Lynn, please tell me who sang that last song that you played.
That's Lou Doty.
I knew it. I knew that was Lou. I said it sounds like Lou.
Yeah,
That
it's
sounds
Lou
like
Doty.
Lou.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I'll send
Lou
you that
used
if you want it.
I may even have it already. If
You
that's not
probably
if
do.
that's but I appreciate it. Yeah, Lou used to come to the Center of Peace every second Sunday of the month. He used to come to the Center of Peace back in the day. Yes, no Lou. I know Lou. I love Lou. I know his wife Susan. Love her. She's friends with Lovable on Facebook. Lovable has his own Facebook page. Um, yes, I know the Doties. Oh my God. Oh my God. That sounds like Lou. Who spells it Lew. He's not a Lou. He's a Lew. Lou Doty. Love him. Love him. Love him. All right. Yeah. Anyway, magnificent, a marvelous, a majestic, a magnanimous Monday to each and every one of only one of us. Now is new. That's it's mine. Now is new. Uh, it was the theme for last July's message of the month with the Center of Peace. Um, I had the privilege of I sent that one in. You know, we sent a whole bunch of us sent something in, and Reverend Twana Malone, she grabbed that one, and now it's new, and it became a thing. And then I decided, since I had this made, to go a step further. If you all know, my screen name here, Pal Talk, this is where it all started, is Holy Love. So I decided to have that put on the back of my shirt. I don't know if you can see that or not. Anyway, Holy Love. Uh, yeah, that's what made me wear this today. I'm feeling holy with a WH. I'm feeling complete. I'm feeling complete, and I know that I'm loved. So here we go. Okay, so this little thing was dictating my morning as I was trying to put together whatever was going to happen today. It's not something that usually comes to me. I don't sit and plan over the days, you know, what am I going to talk about? I don't do that. I don't do that. I feel like I don't have to worry about what to do or what to say because Spirit who leads me will direct me. I know that. I know that the words coming from me are coming through me, that the words are not my own, that and I love how it's written that Jesus said that not me, but the Father that dwelleth in me. So this morning, as I was looking, you know, this study within the last hour or so, as I was looking through well, wait, before we do that, let me not get ahead of myself. Let me not get ahead of myself. Let me not get ahead of myself. I am is that possible to get ahead of yourself? That's kind of funny that as I'm saying it out loud. How's that possible to do that? As always, we are reminded. There we go. Here we go. Now I can work. Now I'm cooking with fire. All right. Time to share my screen. Let's see if I get this right. And yes, okay. Perfect. We're reminded. Mind your mind. Don't choose to be tolerant of mind wandering. Be willing to engage with God and his creations. Stay engaged. Dr. Ernest Holmes writes that to learn how to think is to learn how to live. And that's on page 123, by the way. That's on page 123 of the textbook. I just found that out yesterday. And in fact, I knew it, but I didn't know it. That's on page 123 of the text, and it stands out. I participate in a Science of Mind study group, both Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings, two different groups, and I love them both. But yesterday, this particular somebody brought this up, and I said, "Yeah, that's one of my favorites." I mentioned week. Um, yeah, to learn how to think is to learn how to live. We are reminded from the course that this is a course in mind training, and that all learning involves attention and study at some level. And we are reminded that an untrained mind can accomplish nothing. We just going around in circles. They say in the 12-step programs that what is it? Unsupervised by with going around, going in your mind without adult supervision. Yeah, I like that one. Thoughts are things, Dr. Ernest writes. Thoughts and things are but two ends of the same proposition. And Job Goldsmith affirms this. Since it is impossible to stop thinking, we cannot stop creating. Our choice is whether we shall construct constructively or destructively. Mind your mind. So today, I this morning I was put the idea, the whole concept of oneness, the whole my whole belief. I'm going to say knowing. I'm going to take science's word for it. Therefore, I can say I know my whole knowing that oneness is. I was having a conversation this morning with someone who was talking about that over there, that person over there, and me over here. Or actually, she was telling me about someone who does that. She and I have talked enough that, generally speaking, she gets the understanding. She has the understanding that in truth we really are one. And the individual that she was talking to, on the other hand, was, doing the judgment thing, has a tendency to do judgment and not even realize that they're judging. Isn't that something that we can actually be judging and not realize that we're judging? And it's really the way we were raised. We were raised to think that something is right or it's wrong. It's good or it's bad. It's me or it's you. I'm the victim, you're the villain. We've been, we were taught to think that way. We were taught to live in blame. We were taught to live in shame. We were taught to live in fault. We were taught to live in grief. Oh my, taught to live in grief. So before I go any further, I'd like to say good morning to Cindy, who's here in the room with me. I appreciate you, Cindy. Good morning. And let me see who's in the Pal Talk room.
Good morning.
Sharon. Sharon, hi. And Carrie just joined the room. Hi, Carrie. Glad you're here. Dove, Lynn, of course. Idelos. I am glad you are here. Carrie, come join me in the room. We're talking about oneness today. Come be one with me. If you can, if you want to. Sharon, likewise. Feel free. But Cindy is indeed here, and I'm grateful for that. So I need to stop the screen for a minute because once I went into the Pal Talk room, I lost my screen. No, I got it. I got it. I got it. So this morning I wanted to talk about oneness, and because it's an hour. This shouldn't this if it promotes conversation, that would be wonderful. If not, we'll see what happens. Uh, but when I first started going to the Center of Peace, Reverend Sheila Pierce, the founder, a way shower in her own life, she was a way shower, but the founder of the Center of Peace, she used to say, there's no such thing as God and. And I remember the first time I heard that, it floored me. It floored me. Even though I was a student of the course already, I'd been a student of the course since 1992. And I didn't go to the Center of Peace until 2012, which was 20 years later. Wow. Wow. 20 years later, when I started going to the Center of Peace, when I was introduced to religious science, better known as science of mind, let's just call it a mental science. But anyway, um, and it floored me. because even though with the course I had I was growing in my oneness with my brothers, my sisters, had grown in that oneness that, that I am one with God, had grown in that thought. Well, maybe not so much the realization of how one with God I really was. I was getting that oneness with my brother and sister. There's a passage in the Bible that reads, how can you say you love God, but you don't love your brother? And as I come to understand that more and more, if God is part of is if God is one with each and everything, everyone, then God has to be one with my brother, and God has to be one with me. Excuse me for a moment. For a moment, because I need to. I felt the need to blow, and I didn't want you involved in that. Okay, so so I was getting the understanding of being one with my brother, being one with my sister. But there was still, I mean, that was 12 years ago. Oh my God. It was 10, 11 and a half years ago. And over time, the course and the other mental sciences have become me, not part of me, not outside of me, not apart from me, but me. I understand today that there is no separation. There really is no separation. And even though the course teaches very plainly that one big sentence, a sense of separation, is the only lack that we need correct. That's the only problem. And I've read that time and time and time and time and time and time again. I've been reading the course, not daily. Come on, I mean, let's not even go there, you know. But I can't say I've been reading the course daily since 1992. Have not. Uh, have put it down for very short periods of time because I pick up the course. I always pick up the course. The course was always right in front of me on the bookcase, always. Um, it was always a first choice. I made myself a Word document of the course. I had looked at, had been involved with study groups. I've been involved with study group. I facilitated, a study group back in April of 2015, and it's still going. And we meet every Thursday. Shameless plug, if anybody's interested. But I know there's other things, other wonderful things going on Thursday nights, which is why I'm not ever there. But anyway, uh, so I've always been involved with the course. I've stayed involved with the course, but sometimes you're reading the words, and the words are just floating by. You feel like, oh yeah, I remember I read that before, and you keep on going, and then one day you read a sentence that I'm speaking for myself. I read a sentence that I have read so many times. Workbook lesson 35. My mind is part of God's, that I am very holy. It's only in the last few months that I've learned to substitute the word holy for the word whole, which the course does say that holiness is a sign of wholeness. That particular workbook lesson title made sense to me up until that point. Read it, you just read and you read, and I love how things just jump out. I love how things jump out. I read aloud now, and I have the course on audio too, but I read aloud. It's easier. I actually prefer to read it myself, because even when listening, sentences are, it's like, sentences are moving past, and I'm not taking it in. I'm not studying it. I'm just listening to it. And there's a difference. But anyway, so the whole, and I studied astrology. At 14, I became a student of astrology. And I understood and still understand that oneness with the cosmos, that how the planets, everything moves in precision and all that. That to me is the wonder of God. And I understand that it's temporary, which is what not real means. Let's be clear here. I'm being clear here. Um, and that everything out there is an effect. I'm cause. And anyway, but today, my relationship, I understand that it's one. Reverend Twana said 2 weeks ago that it is a ship. It's a ship that we're all sailing on. That sun ship. We're moving along on this one ship, the ship of relations, the ship of the sun, the sun, which includes everything, everyone. It includes everyone, everything. He finally got calm. Look, look, look. Just like that. All of a sudden he just calms down. Um, so this relationship, this oneness, this to be able to relate. You have to look at these words. I look at words and they're symbols of symbols, but they're powerful symbols for me. To be able to relate to you, to be able to relate to anything and anyone. We talk about our being related, but we tend to look at that as by blood, but I don't. I haven't for a long, 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 long time. I've always said that, love is thicker than blood. I've always said that. I've always said that. As long as I can remember, love is thicker than blood. And I used to say it because at the time that I first started saying it, I didn't, I hate it. I had hate issues. I had a major hate issue. And and I used to say love is thicker, that love is thicker than blood. And today I say that from a totally different place, that the blood isn't the issue. I don't have to be physically related to you. I'm related to you. You're related to me. We are one. There's no and, because if God is what I am and God is what you are, then there is no and. There is no place for and. So I want to look at and hopefully talk about, um, if anybody feels like it, starting from miracle principle number 19, which says that miracles make minds one with God. And they depend on cooperation, because the sonship is the sum of all that God created. Now, that's speaking to our ego mind, who looks at sum, SUM, as this plus that plus that plus that. And it had to be written this way for us to understand it. It's at the beginning of the book. So even as I'm reading that, I see very clearly that it's the course, that the beginning of the course is written for the beginner, for the person who's attempting to understand. The course is asking us to look at everything differently, to basically to erase everything, because we've been badly taught. The course says, resign as your own teacher, for you have been badly taught, to erase everything and begin anew. Miracle principle number 7 reminds us that miracles are everyone's right. Miracles are service. Miracles are thoughts. Miracles are acts of love. Miracles. There's so many things. When you look in the course, it says, see how many times the course says miracles are, or a miracle is. It's in there a whole lot of times to tell you, different things that, what a miracle is. It is so many things. It is all encompassing. And we're being asked to to release what we think of as all encompassing, to be able to then see it differently. Miracle principle number 7, that miracles are everyone's right, but purification is necessary first. I wish you'd gone and gotten me some water too. Um, So miracles make minds one in God. It doesn't say one with God because then that would apply the and also. This is a key word. I'm going to underline it. Um, Miracles make minds one in God. There is a workbook lesson, and I'm not sure which one it is, that says something to the effect that we live and have our be, we live and move in God. Go ahead. Here, take it. That we live, that we live in God. We move in God. In the Bible, it says we live, move, and have our being in God. And there's a miracle principle that says something very similar to that. And in the science of mind, Dr. Ernest says that we live, move, and have our being in mind. Live, move, and have our being in mind. That's the capital M mind. Capital M mind is the mind of God. So miracles make minds. That's our little mind, your little mind, my little mind, one in God. Miracles depend on cooperation because the sonship is the sum of all that God created. All of it. All of it. And Dr. Ernest writes in his book, Living the Science of Mind, that love is God, infinite, eternal, and ever present. We cannot escape love. I love that sentence. I love that. Can't escape it. There was a conversation yesterday. Well, actually, Yesterday's service at the Center of Peace. And for anyone who may be interested, that's the Center of Peace.org. No, wait, the replay. It's on Facebook for those, the Center of Peace, and it has to be the Center of Peace. And on YouTube, it's the Center of Peace dash CSL. The CSL stands for Center for Spiritual Living. The Center of Peace dash CSL. It was good yesterday. We had a question and answer session, and the licensed practitioners were answering questions. Reverend Tawana wasn't there yesterday, celebrating her birthday this weekend. And so the licensed practitioners, we, took over, there were questions and answers, and a lot of what came out there is what we talk about here. And one of the questions was about the wars and the poverty and the enslavement and all of that. How is it that it's how do you see love in that? And one of the responses that came out of that was about how we define love. And Regis was talking about that a couple of weeks ago, I grabbed hold of that one. It's key that we realize that whether it's a war, whether it's a rape, whether it's enslavement, it's still all God, because there's no such thing as God land. I mean, I put an exclamation point there. 3 exclamation points. There's no such thing as God land. So that's key. So therefore, we can't escape love. If God is love, then we can't escape love because we can't escape God. We exist in love and are one with it. Remember, we live, move, and have our being in God. We live, move, and have our being in love. Miracles, the principle states, make minds one in God. We exist in love. There it is again. and are one with it. We live by, through, and in it. That it is God. That it is love. Miracles make minds one in God. They depend on cooperation. So this love, this God, motivates our entire thought, purpose, plan, and action. And in the course, it says, even, there's no, we can't, ideas don't leave their source. And because we are in God, even when we're in our misthoughts, it's still the thought, the ability to be able to think still comes from God. So it's still all one with God. So it doesn't matter if I'm thinking, quote, quote, good thoughts, or I'm thinking, quote, quote, bad thoughts, or I'm thinking, hurtful thoughts, I'm thinking shameful thoughts, or angry thoughts, or blaming thoughts, or depressing thoughts, or joyous thoughts, or happy thoughts. It's all one big dream. Row, row, row your boat. It's one big dream. It's just one dream. There's no such thing as God and only one, 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 one. Everything we see with the eyes of love. There's a workbook lesson that says that. And I was attempting to get to it, but I couldn't get to it fast enough. I've only been gathering the physical notes here this morning within the last hour. But I will grab my book. I think I'm going to grab my book. Has anybody seen my ACIM book? Didn't have that in my hand this morning. Thank you. I don't have my book in front of me. But that doesn't stop me. That doesn't stop me. Um, God is the mind well, let's look at these workbook lessons. God is the mind. Nope, before that. God is the light in which I see. God is the mind with which I think. Now, workbook lesson 44. Let me put that one on the screen. Workbook lesson 44. It says, God is the light in which I see. Let me get that up here. That's key. I wanted that one this morning. I wanted to have that before I got here, but I have it now. I have it now. Put that right there. God is the light in which I see. For the record, I would love to come back to do this again, and open it up for lots of conversation. So God is the light in which I see. Everything we hear with the ears of love. We see God everywhere, 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 wherever we look to see him. And see, there's the thing. We see this war going on, and we say, oh, that's not God. In fact, I was part of a march yesterday, a march for peace. The majority of the people that were marching were Jewish. It was a march for peace. And we're asking for things to stop happening. We're asking for the killings to stop. Understandably, because we experience pain. And, we're reminded in the court, everyone experiences pain. And yet, and yet, and this is almost don't want to say it. It's all God. I almost don't want to say that. I want it to stop. I want the killings to stop. I want the murders of all kinds to stop. I want the belief that this one is better than that this one is greater than that because of the hue of their skin or because of the culture in which they live or because one has, more weapons than the other. I want it to stop. And yet, I still have to remember that it's all God. We see God everywhere. Wherever we look to see, wherever we look, we see him. Wherever we go, we find him. So we are always, I am looking for the lesson. If all things are lessons that God would have me learn. What am I learning? What am I learning? What are we learning? What's the lesson when these situations occur? What's the lesson for me? Because I can surely, easily talk about what I think the lesson should be for you. Oh yeah, we always have the answer what someone else should do. They should stop. They should this. They should that. They should know better. They should, I could shoot on it all day long. But the question becomes, what's the lesson for me? All things are lessons God would have me learn. I'm going to bring the screen down for a minute so I can go into the course and find that. I am going to share my screen again, going into the course. Workbook lesson 193 teaches that all things are lessons God would have me learn. All things. In the second paragraph, it says that God sees no contradictions. Yet we believe we see them. I believe I see them. Thus, I have a need for one, capital O, one, who can correct my erring sight and give me vision that will lead me back to where perception ceases. God does not perceive at all. Yet it is God who gives the means by which perception is made true and beautiful enough to let the light of heaven shine upon it. I have to repeat that. God doesn't perceive, yet it is he who gives the means by which perception is made true and beautiful enough to let the light of heaven shine upon us, to shine upon it. It is he who answers what I would contradict and keeps my sinlessness forever safe. Not only mine, it is he who answers what my brothers and sisters who are living in ways that I don't like, who are acting in ways that I don't like. It is he, that same God, who answers when those people, I'm saying those people, those that I'm seeing outside of me, those that I'm separating from, what they would contradict. They're not living the way I live. I'm marching for peace and they're killing people. Isn't that the way we think? Oh, Carrie nodded. Yes. Hey, good to see you. Good to physically see you. Doesn't happen often. I'm glad. All right, I'm going to bring my screen down so I can see a little better. There you are. Hey, loved one. um, but yeah, any thoughts on this? Any Any opinion on this, Carrie? You have anything you want to share? If not, that's fine too. I will reshare my screen. So it is God who answers what I see as contradictions so that I can keep their sinlessness forever safe. Not only my sinlessness, but that of my brothers. Because for me to everything I'm witnessing with my physical eyes is physical. It's bodies. It's bodies. Attack upon attack upon attack. Bodies. And yeah, of course, makes it clear. Yeah, sure. We can't deny that anymore. Dr. Ernest, of course, and the other mental scientists, they've all said it. We can't deny what we see. We see it. Yeah. And we have feelings about it. Yeah. And it's Byron Katie. I started reading. I was, one of A Course in Miracles students gifted me a book by Byron Katie, and the title of the book is "Loving What Is," because all things are lessons that God would have me learn. And the workbook lesson 268 it says, "Let all things be exactly as they are," and I reword that to say, "Accept all things as they are." So these are the lessons that God would have you learn. Forgive. If I forgive, and I'm going down because I really want to continue with what I put on the charts today. Forgive, and you will see this differently. Each and every time, even as I'm marching in this peace rally, and even as when we get to where the speaking was going to take place, and it was minimal. It was a in silence peace walk. It's beautiful. And when we got to the end of the Peace Park, Chestnut Hill Peace Park, there were 3 blankets, and there were symbolically um, babies. There were sheets wrapped to look like a baby's form, and there were several of them put down, and there were posters with the photographs of children whose bodies, photographs of children's bodies who are no more on this plane. I don't know I don't know. And even in the midst of that, even in that, I was remembering that it's still all God. It's still all God. It's still all God. Feeling sadness, but yet it was still all God. Hi, Michaela. Glad you're here. We are talking about oneness. And this is where I've been led to. I was talking about the fact that I was at a peace rally yesterday, and it was for ending the violence against the Jewish people, and then after the rally itself, we gathered, and there was some speaking um and images of different people who had uh lost their physical life, whose physical lives are no more because of this, and I still had to remind myself, and yet it's all God. But we're being asked, forgive, and you will see this differently. Certain it is that all distress does not appear to be unforgiveness, does not appear to be but unforgiveness. Certain it is that all distress does not appear to be but unforgiveness. Yet that is the content underneath the form. It is this sameness which makes learning sure, because the lesson is so simple. This so says the course. The lesson is so simple that it cannot be rejected in the end. It is the content underneath the form. It's the content underneath the form. I have to look upon these people who are doing what we call horrific things, and look upon them with forgiveness. We're talking about oneness. Miracles make minds one in God, and they depend on cooperation. How am I supposed to cooperate with those people over there who were killing those people over there? How am I supposed to cooperate with those people over there who were shooting those people over there? How am I supposed to cooperate with those people in blue who are killing the people of darker hue? How am I supposed? One, one, one. Ideas don't leave their source. And it's my attack thoughts that attack my invulnerability. My attack thoughts hurt me. My thoughts are what is injuring me. It's not the thing that's happening that hurts. It's what I think about the thing that hurts. Wasn't planning on going down this road today. I had no plan this morning. I had no plan. All I know is that that oneness was where I was heading, and here I am at oneness. There is no such thing as God and I'm just giving you time to read the screen, Michaela. That's why I'm pausing. I'm actually getting ready to go to the next next slide. Just want to give you time to play catch up. Here we
Thank
go.
you.
So from the Course says that knowledge is all one and has no separate parts. And we know that knowledge, that certainty is God. The Course teaches us somewhere in chapter 20 that certainty is God, that God is certain. That's knowledge. That's not unquestionable. It's unchanging. You who are really one with it, about knowledge, need but know yourself, and your knowledge is complete. To know God's miracle is to know him. Now, in this case, it's calling knowledge the miracle. Your mind is one with God's. The lesson says that miracles make minds one in God. Dr. Ernest says that we cannot escape it. We exist in love. Well, that is, we exist in God. This is that God is love. We exist in love. We're one with it. Everything, everything, everything. We see God everywhere. Wherever we look, we see him, no matter what. Whether we want to, we tend to smile at each other and say, Namaste. The God in me recognizes the God in you. You are the face of God and all that. But how often do we say, how much learning, how much forgiveness can we gain when we look at those people over there and say, you are the face of God. The God in me recognizes the God in you. To be able to look beyond the body, beyond the situations, beyond those things that are happening, and be able to say, the God in me sees the God in you. The God in me looks beyond your body. The God in me recognizes that you don't have a Course in Miracles. You don't have these mental sciences. You don't. This isn't what you study, practice, believe. Definitely not what you believe. It's not what you live. It's not what you know. And for that, I stay in prayer. Not for them, but for myself, because I have to continue to remember the truth about them. That's the miracle worker in the Course. That's the practitioner in religious science and in the other mental sciences. The Course teaches. Yes, Michaela, come on.
I just wanted to say that my mom was a prisoner of war, at that time because you went to the peace rally. And my mom's not Jewish, but she was born in East Germany, which became Poland, and it's now where the Ukraine was. And there's a really beautiful part to my mom, and she has forgiven a lot because she lost her home, and her mom was raped by soldiers, and she's forgiven everything. Thank you.
Yes. And that's where the peace comes. Because it's not saying that it was, that what they did was right. It's not saying that her not having her home anymore. The Course teaches that nothing survives its purpose. That she had her home as long as she was supposed to. But we're not saying that, oh, that was the way. Yeah, that's fine. No. What we're saying is that it's not occurring now. It didn't continue to occur. It didn't continue to occur. The home, if I can say it this way, was lost once. The situation with her mother being raped, it's not still occurring. So our role in this situation, as was the case with Michaela's mom, was to be willing to release it. Some people have an issue with the word forgiveness, and I brought this up yesterday during service. I brought it up, but somebody in here said it, and I thought it was phenomenal, that the word release, let go of what's not there anymore. Because for your own peace, for her own peace, for Michaela's mother's peace, she had to do that. I admire that, Michaela. I admire that wholeheartedly, because it's not easy, certainly not easy, but it's not impossible. All things are possible in God. And that's what we have to hold on to, that all things are possible in God. All things in God. And we keep going back to the word in God. Miracles make minds one in God. That we exist in love. And God is love. We exist in love. We live by, through, and in it. In it. We are in God. It's all God. I don't care if you call it a room, a war, a house, a universe. I don't care what you call it. We're all in God. It's all God. Joel Goldsmith brings that home so clearly. And the language is different. It's different from the Course. But when you really look at it, that in that regard, it is saying the same thing. The focus of the science of mind, the focus of the Course are different. The motivation for the Course, motivation is peace. The goal is to know thyself. With religious science, again, it is the same. It is one and the same in that regard. And in the infinite way, it's still about knowing self. Because once we realize what self is, that it's not a small s, that it is a capital S, then we can realize that we're one with the source, that it's still all one. So although the direction, the focus seems to be different, the goal is the same. The goal is still peace. The goal is to know thyself. The goal is to recognize our oneness with God, the infinite way, the mind with a capital M, miracles, to recognize that we are the miracle. To know God's miracle is to know God. And our minds are one with that. So to know God's miracle is to know God. It's to know ourselves. Our minds are one with it. Not easy. No, but it's simple. The Course says it's simple, but not easy. Simple if we just decide, I'm just going to follow that. And somewhere in the Course says, do only this. Do only this. Just do this. To be alone, I'm quoting the Course again, is to be separated from infinity. But how can this be if infinity has no end? We can't be separate. We cannot. Go ahead, Michaela.
That's so true, Zulma. Teaching others is how we learn. And the more that I let go of my grievances against another, I'm teaching that there is another way of thinking. And the more that I then reinforce that idea in myself. And so this is so beautiful what you're talking about, because I think that because my grandparents, and I was fortunate enough to have my even great grandparents and my mother that survived a war torn area and losing their home twice and being prisoner of war and my grandfather was captured and put in a prison camp in France for 6 years. These people had totally forgiven. And so as a child, being raised by them with these values of forgiveness, I believe has led me to Science of Mind and led me to A Course in Miracles, because I saw the rightness of it. And they always said that they really believe that the reason they survived the war, at night they had to look for food and go up in trees so the wolves wouldn't get them. The reason they survived was their faith and their love for their creator and also their fellow man, and seeing the soldiers, that oneness. When the soldiers came, they would hide my mom. My great grandparents would hide my mom, a little child, in between them in the bed so that they didn't know that she was there. And so you can imagine that your thought system would want to go into fear, but somehow they were able to turn that around with the soldiers, and the soldiers, walked away from them. And so it's really through forgiveness, and that love is it. So I'm very grateful for them, and I'm grateful to have had their experiences and shared their experiences with me growing up, so that it turned my thought system towards forgiveness and love. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your long. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so, so much. Thank you so much for that. I needed to take a moment of silence on that one. Thank you. Thank you. The thing about holding grievances, we say that we're holding them against someone else, but actually we're just using that person, that situation, as a reason for us to be in grief, for us to hold the grievance. And I say, you say you're holding a grievance. I say, let me see it, show it to me. Now you can tell me about it, with all the profanity that goes with it. But what we're holding is our self hostage. We're holding our self prisoner. We're holding ourselves in bondage. We're holding ourselves in pain. We're holding the blocks to the love that we are when we choose to blame someone else, to look at someone else. You see, if you hadn't done that thing, then I see this is where it is. And I get that that's the first feeling, as you were talking about, the soldiers coming, and, the first feeling in my mind would be fear. If I'm focusing on what can happen to my body. But as you said, it's about that faith. This is about that engaging with God that the Course talks about. This is about recognizing that the oneness of it all, that no matter what, in the Bible is written, it's your faith that makes you well. It's written that Jesus always asked, do you believe I can do this? Your faith has made you well. Your faith has made you well. Your faith has made you well. It's my faith that keeps me well. It's my faith that keeps me well. Where to keep my focus at the time that whatever is happening, to remember, Spirit, that I am always in a state of grace, that I am not this body, to recognize that this body is temporary no matter what. And how it happens is an ego thought, is part of the ego thought system. It shouldn't happen this way. Oh my God. It's like saying, oh, well, I know you're going to die. I know your body's going to die. I know your body's going to cease to be, but it shouldn't be such and such a way. It shouldn't be painful. It shouldn't be in torment. Hey, it's still, there is no death. These are the things that I have to hold on to. And, I had the experience well, it wasn't, I was gang raped at 15, and it's just part of my story. I said it, it's come and it's gone. It's part of my story. And what's your name? Byron Katie refers to the stories as theories. Who would I be without my story? But only thing, in chapter 5, section 4, paragraph 8 of the course, it says, how can you who are so holy suffer? How can you who are so whole suffer? How can how can your mother, how can any of these people, how can any of us who are so whole suffer? It reads, everything, all the pain stuff is gone, and nothing is left but a blessing. Let me quote that exact. I don't think it matters that I quoted exact or not, but here I am wanting to do that. But basically, that everything, what's the only thing that's left is the blessing. All that other stuff is gone. It's gone. It's gone. It reads, how can you who are so holy suffer? How can you, Zulma, how can you who are so whole suffer? All your past, all my past, all the past, everybody's past, all the past, except its beauty, is gone, 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 and nothing is left but a blessing. That's my option, to hold on to the beauty of it. What did I learn from it? Where's the gift in it? All things we're taught, all things are planned gently for our good, our good. Now, I don't mean good versus bad. I mean for our isness. It's planned for our isness. Our isness continues. Our isness doesn't stop because somebody raped me, or somebody raped somebody's mother, or or because somebody was killed, or it doesn't stop any of that. All the past, except its beauty, is gone. It's because of those situations that this peace march that I was in yesterday existed, and how beautiful that was. Seeing the whole thing. Granted, there was sadness involved in terms of the bodies, but the truth is that we were all there as one. There wasn't a single person with a yarmulke on who told me that I couldn't be in that line. Oh, this peace march is for the Jewish people. No, nobody did that. Nobody did that. I was grateful to be there. I wasn't there because I wasn't there for Jewish people. I was there for the people. I was there for the love, for the oneness of it all. That's why I was there. I was told, peace march. What? Where? I'm going. I'll be there. That's all. That's all I was told. Peace march. I didn't know the details. We were supposed to get the details, but we didn't. We have a social justice group at the Center of Peace, and they're not disseminating information fast enough for me. And I'm saying that out loud. I'm going to send this information to somebody when I'm finished with it. But all the beauty, all the past, except its beauty, is gone, and nothing is left but a blessing. Nothing is left but a blessing. I'm going to quickly, I have every bit of a minute to finish this. To be alone is to be separated from infinity. And how can this be if infinity has no end? No one can be beyond the limitless. We're talking spirit here, because what has no limits must be everywhere. That's where in the review one after workbook lesson 50 talks about that our peace is everywhere. There are no beginnings and no endings in God. There's that in word again, whose universe is himself. Can you exclude yourself from the universe or from God, who is the universe? God is the universe. So all that telling me that what I'm seeing isn't quote quote real. The universe is a physical place as we know it. Don't tell me it's not real. I live in it. My body is in it. But I recognize that beyond that is what I really am. I and my Father are one with you, is written, that the voice of the course is saying, for you are part of us. That is, that we are just one in one another. And Dr. Ernest says on page 122 of the text, in spirit, man is one with God. But what of the great law of the universe? If we are really one with the whole, we must be one with the law of the whole. There's that word whole again. I am part of God. I am very holy. I am whole. I am perfect. I am complete. We must be one with the law of the whole, as well as one with the spirit. I'm grateful. Thank you. Thank you all for being here this morning. Thank you for giving me a chance to ramble. Michaela, thank you for joining in on the conversation. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. Really appreciate that. And with that, you all have a wonderful rest of the day. Remember, every only one of us, I love you. Thank you. And Lynn, here's the mic.
Thank you so much, Zulma, and thanks to everyone who shared. Beautiful, McKaylee, Lindy, Carrie, Cindy, all of us here. God bless us all, and